Hey, Foot Lab. I'm an athlete, and at times my feet and ankles hurt. What causes these problems?
That's a great question. Those are common problems for athletes, and one of the reasons for that is every time an athlete runs, they can put up to 3 times their body mass on each foot. And over time, that takes a real toll on the body. So when we talk to athletes about these problems and explain why they're happening, one of the common responses we get is that no one ever told me that that's what was going on. So that's what this video is about. We're going to talk about athletic problems and foot problems, and we're going to talk about some of the root issues that cause those problems. So the most frequent problems that we see at the Foot Lab, probably number one problem would be plantar fasciitis. Plantar fasciitis is pain at the heel. This is the plantar fascial ligament. When that gets stretched, the ligament wants to pull away from the heel, create small little micro tears. That's one of the big problems. The second problem are knee problems. We're going to talk about how the stability of the foot or the lack of stability in the foot affects the rotation of the knee, which causes problems there. The third one would be shin splints. We're going to talk about how the muscles of the lower leg are attached to the tibia and the fibula, which creates the shin splint issue. And the third one would be Achilles tendonitis. The Achilles tendon comes down and attaches to the back of the heel here, and the instability of the foot is going to create problems there. We'll talk about how that happens. So before we get started, we want to have a little anatomy lesson so that we understand what's going on with the foot. The human foot has 26 bones and 33 joints. It's designed to be the lever that we stride from in the gait cycle. And it's also designed to be flexible enough for us to walk over sticks and rocks and things without breaking our feet. In addition to that, the two bones of the lower leg are the tibia and the fibula, and they work like a hinge on the ankle joint. They don't rotate, they just go back and forth like a hinge on the ankle joint. Now let's take a look at my foot and see what happens when the foot is in different positions. I've got a piece of tape on there so you can see what happens to the foot and the lower leg as it goes through these different postures. When the foot is supported in what we call neutral, the foot is stable, the lower leg flexes fore and aft exactly as it's designed. When the foot isn't supported, the bones in the foot become misaligned, and as the knee bends, it's going to track inward rather than tracking forward the way it does in a properly supported foot. Now when the foot tips to the inside like that, that's called pronation, and that's about 80% of the population, which is why it's such a big problem. When this happens, when the pronation happens, all sorts of things change in the foot and the lower leg. So one of the things that happens is that as the foot pronates, it actually gets longer. And when we go to that plantar fasciitis problem, that's one of the principal causes of plantar fasciitis. As the foot gets longer, it tensions the plantar fascial ligament, which creates the issues back at the heel. When the foot pronates, the lower leg rotates. So you can see with this tape here that as the foot pronates, the shaft of the leg rotates, and now when I bend my knee, I have the knee moving in this direction. When that happens, the femur rotates, the pelvis has to tip to allow that, which also misaligns the lower back. Now, the muscles that come down the lower leg are attached to tendons, which allows us to move the foot around and do this sort of thing. So once again, as the foot pronates, we tension those tendons, which tensions the muscles, which are attached to the two bones of the lower leg, and that creates small little micro tears between the muscles and the bones. Those are shin splints, and that's what causes that. And finally, when the foot pronates, the Achilles tendon is stretched, which causes Achilles tendonitis. The other foot shape that we see with a lot of problems is the foot with the real high instep and the real high arch. That foot needs stability and it needs support just like the pronating foot does. Even though it's a complete different shape, it still will lengthen while it pronates. It's going to create shin splints and have all sorts of different but related type problems. for all of these problems, a lot of these problems are dealt with symptomatically. And that would be icing or ibuprofen or taping or stretching or things like that. And that's a little bit like taking an aspirin for a toothache rather than dealing with the root cause, which is getting to the fact that you have a cavity and you have to resolve it. So in our case, the root cause is the instability of the foot, and what we're going to do to fix it is we're going to build an orthotic to fit inside the shoe to hold the foot in the right posture. So an orthotic starts out as a blank. It's a sandwich of different materials, and one of those materials that's inside this sandwich of materials is a plate. And this whole orthotic blank goes into an oven. When it comes out of the oven, this plate has softened, so the whole orthotic becomes almost like a cooked noodle. It's real flexible and malleable and moldable. We're going to set this down onto a pair of molding pillows. We'll stand you on top of those molding pillows. And when we're done, we're going to come up with something that looks a little bit like this. It'll be a perfect mold of your foot in a neutral posture. So then what we're going to do is glue cork onto the bottom of this orthotic blank, and we're going to grind it so that this grind line here and here perfectly fits the shank or the sole of the shoe. We drop that into the shoe, so now when you put your foot into the shoe, it rolls it into a neutral posture that's going to support and hold you and keep some of these problems from reoccurring. So we have a couple recommendations for athletes, and the first one would be if you have a pronated foot or the foot with the high arch and the high instep, it might be a good idea to think about arch support to put inside your shoes before these issues start to arise. Now, shoes are built for the masses, so they're built for the statistically average foot, which of course none of us have. So there are things like superfeet inserts and some of those types of things that will help support the foot. On a scale of 1 to 10, the insert that comes in the shoe is probably a 1. Custom orthotic is about a 10, and an insert like a superfeet is probably a 4 or 5, so it's a definite move in the right direction. The second thing, or the second recommendation we have is if you have foot or knee or lower back type issues, don't wait on that stuff. They need to be addressed, and the way to address it properly is to build an orthotic, especially if you're an athlete. You're pounding your feet much more than the general population, and that support is really, really critical. If you have any questions about your feet, we have on our website an appointment called an assessment appointment. It's a short little conversation that we can have. It's free, it doesn't cost anything, and you can come in and give us your concerns. We can take a look at your foot. If we're dealing with issues that are beyond our scope of practice, we'll refer you to your family practice physician or your sports medicine physician or a podiatrist. So sometimes it's helpful to have a conversation and at least get your options going into it. If you're looking to make an appointment for an orthotic, you can go to our website, follow the links to make an appointment for an orthotic. That appointment takes about an hour. We want you to bring all the shoes that we're going to want to try and fit this into. Make sure you bring socks. In the middle of that hour-long appointment, about half an hour of it is with us working in the lab. So you might want to bring a book, you might want to bring something to keep yourself occupied for a little bit of time. When we get done building the orthotic, we'll come and put it in your shoes, and we'll either put you on our treadmill here or we'll let you walk and make sure that we've got the correction we're looking for. So if you have any questions, call us at the Foot Lab or check out our website, which is thefootlab.com. Thank you for watching the video, and take good care of your feet.